podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Join us for this week's episode of the WRRAP podcast, where we talk about all of the games from last week, all of the games that are coming up next week. We have a little dabble into the Zebra and Munster game, and if you're really, really lucky and you stick around to the end, you'll have all of our predictions ready for next week and a way of getting your predictions in for the tournament. Let's go do it. You're listening to WRRAP, the Welsh Regional Rugby Appreciation Podcast. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the WRRAP Podcast with me, Lee G. Joining me, as per usual, is Harley and James. Good evening, gents.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And those that are particularly observant will notice that Jamie's not with us this evening, because he's come down with something nasty and he's taken to his bed to watch the second half of Dragons Leinster one more time, just to see if he can really finish himself off. So get well soon, James. Hopefully he'll be back for next week. So it's just going to be us three for this evening. So we're going to start, as we always do, with Drink of the Week. And as you will by now no doubt be expecting, I am on a cup of tea this week. I've gone slowly down, and I couldn't even bring myself to do the non-alcohol stuff this week. I've just gone, a cup of tea. So, right. James,
before we move on, for the sake of the spreadsheet, what brand tea?
PG Tips, mate. This is PG Tips.
You're on too much money, you are.
Well, no, there's a reason why it's PG Tips, because PG Tips.
It's been nicking them from hotels for years.
No, PG Tips are the only brand that make 100% recyclable bags, paper bags. Everyone else has got bits of plastic in it, so I can chuck it in the compost heap, and hey ho, next year tomatoes. So that's why I use them.
Apparently, and the only reason I know this is because my stepfather asked me to go to Asda specifically because they're a Which Best Buy is the Asda own all-purpose tea is supposedly also fully compostable.
This has got to be the saddest start to a pod that we have ever.
I'm not even move on to James's exciting.
Yeah, James, what have you got, mate?
I only got it from work about 20 minutes ago. And late one, so I've just got my bottle of water with a J on it that was given to me by a very kind parent at a school I worked at, and my dog has just gone off. But I've also got some lovely after eights, so I'll be munching on them throughout the pod.
Why have you got after eights are a Christmas thing, surely?
They're from Christmas.
We are recording after 8, so that's perfectly fine.
They're from Christmas last year, and they were sealed in the box.
I've got snacks as well.
So, oh my lord!
Yeah,
last year I got the wife Turkish Delight flavoured after eights because I thought that would be a good thing, and they were crap. Harley, your drink of the week, save us.
Well, to go with my yellow bellies, which are what's left of a 3 kilo bag I bought from the Haribo shop on the weekend. I've got some lemon sherbet English cider, which I have not tasted yet. It's something that has been sat around in my mum's fridge. Neither of us wanted to drink it, and I couldn't be bothered to get a drink of the week tonight, so this is what I'm having. It's sweet. It's
sweet,
very,
but it's
very
lemon.
Sweet. Yeah, but it's lemon sherbet, so you just taste sugar.
There's sugar, yeah.
Blimey.
But it's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. 4%, no real monkey bollocks on it. It just says directions for use, best served chilled. Kind of worked that one out.
Isn't.
I can't wait till I'm back to normal around Christmas time. Yeah, at some point after Christmas time, I'll be back to normal drink of the week.
What I'm saying is, you've got a young daughter. She'd love this. It's exactly the sort of thing underage girls drink in parks.
Well, I gave my daughter went to a party 2 weekends ago, and I went, okay, you're nearly of an age. and we had some like strawberry daiquiri in tins in the fridge. We bought it for barbecues over the summer and never been touched. So we said, there you go, take it. And she had like one. And she's like, yeah, I don't really want to drink. Like, what? Come on, you're letting the side down. Me and your mum had both been banned from the sands by the time we were your age, and you don't even want to go and have a strawberry daiquiri. Next generation don't understand them. Right, let's move on to last week's game. So obviously the first game last week was Dragons Leinster. So Jamie was well enough last night. He was rough, I'll be fair, but last night he recorded his Dragons Lair podcast. So Dragons fans are very welcome to go and listen to that, because it does go into a little bit more detail from a Dragons point of view, and it's got a bit more kind of stuff around the game and what's coming up. But let's start with you, James. What did you make? What did you make of the Dragons in the first half? Let's try it that way.
There's definite signs of improvement. I think you're seeing a much fitter Dragons team than maybe we've seen in the last couple of years. I think you're seeing a more gritty, steely, bastard type Dragons that maybe we haven't seen since, I don't know, like early Lydia era, maybe. Certainly not for a while. I think you start to see, why they've signed Harry Wilson, who I thought played very well. Still raw, still got plenty to work on, but you could see, like, yes, hello, this is who you want. They're still not. The attack isn't good enough for me. They make the Dragons' backs make the Ospreys look like 05 All Blacks. There's just no. Jamie said it best on Dragons. It's too telegraphed. It's too many of these looped passes. And look, they're making line breaks, which is better than it was before. But there is some issues there. There's still issues at tight head. Chris Coleman, for me, not up to it. I think Luke Yendall, still jury's out. But the core of a good squad is there. The core of there are definite improvements from last year. And, Dragons seem to be always at the start of a 3-year plan. But I think genuinely now you are seeing game by game improvement from a side that has a lot of promise, but has not showed a lot of final product.
I think if you said to most Dragons fans at the end of last season, we'll improve the defence over the summer, the attack will stay the same, but we'll improve the defence, I think most of them would have taken that. You're in with a chance.
I don't even think it's that definite. I think you just said we'll see incremental improvements, not necessarily over attack or defence or any set category like that. I think Dragons fans would have taken it. I think if you'd have said to them, for me, the biggest thing, I've said, the signings that we make will have definite impact. That's the thing, a lot of times in Welsh rugby you sign players and they don't live up to expectations. We look at the Dragons now. Shane Lewis-Hughes arguably performing individually better than he was at Cardiff. Harry Wilson, we've already mentioned. You look at, he's not a new signing, but Ewan Ross are coming in, and he was a late change on Friday. He was good. Brodie Coughlin getting that game time. So again, if you'd asked for definite incremental improvements, not just attack and defence, I think Dragons fans would have taken that. And I don't want to speak on behalf of, Blind Gwent area, but that's what it seems like from the outside. And having watched them closely last week to this week, you do see that incremental improvement. But the thing around the Dragons now is it has to be consistent. You know, they have to target the Sharks game. They have to target the Lions game as winnable games, but also you need to see more improvement again. You need to see them getting better.
So Harley, they went in at half-time 7-6 down. Arguably, a missed kick. They should have been 9-7 up. What happened in the second half?
I think it's a classic case of Leinster brought on their quality, really. They started bringing on some of the Champions Cup players, but also it was timed with Dragons basically dropping off a cliff, fitness wise. Whenever you see teams and they improve this defense and they ramp up that physicality, it takes a while for them to be able to maintain that physicality over a full 80, particularly if you haven't got the squad depth, which I don't think. In theory, Dragons do, but they've already got so many injuries. It drops down. One thing I want to say is, arguably, should have been up more than 9-7. I feel like they really should have converted some of those chances, but again, the attack isn't quite there to make the most of it. I mean, one theme I think you'll have a look at. Actually, if you look at a lot of the stats in the URC, and actually with some of the WXV stats I've been looking at with Catboy, line breaks mean nothing. Effectively, there's no correlation between the line breaks you make and whether or not you get down. It's pretty much we're going back to that. It's almost completely on your conversion rate. If you get 4 chances to score 4 tries, you're probably gonna do better than someone who has 20 chances and he scores twice. To go to extremes.
Can I just say on the line break thing, it's not so much that line breaks lead to tries. I mean, Dragons are actually making them. Which is something they weren't doing before, and they weren't hitting gain line. So I think, you are absolutely right. Line breaks mean piss all. It's more they're actually making them now.
Yeah, I mean, you can see some things, but it's still not quite. And I think as great as Ewan Rosser is as a young fullback, they were talking. We basically might as well just insert some clips from Dragon's Lair and of Jamie speaking at this point. But Angus O'Brien from basically acting as that second distributor, that second playmaker from 15 does at least give them that extra dimension, at least with the kicking game, which most teams know. Leinster have got a couple of lads with massive left boots, and it's very easy to start losing the territorial battle. So actually, you need to be having that extra savvy kicking option, which they Dragons lacked. So when they needed to relieve the pressure, they were only getting to say just outside the 22 when really they need to be outside the halfway line. But if they kick down, and then you then just losing more territory. I think it was very good. I agree with James. Well, actually, it's the best I've seen Shane Lewis Hughes play in a good couple of years since he broke through. I don't know if that's just because he's finally over all his niggles, or maybe what he actually should have been was brought through as an 8 all along. I don't know, but
sometimes
it is very
positive. Just needs
positive.
to get out. Like sometimes a player needs to get out of where they are. I think the best case I can think of is Ollie Cracknell, who's now at Leicester, was a fine player, and I mean, like 6 out of 10, very one-dimensional, running, hard lines, hits, tackles. Then he went to Irish and then Leicester, and he's now a different player. Now he's been talked about to get into the England squad and things like this, and it's not because he was a bad player for us. It's just because he needed to go to a different environment that suited him better. So I'm not saying that's the case with Shane Lewis Hughes, that he was crap for Cardiff. He wasn't. But when you're in an environment so long, and then you go out into a new one, you do get that chance to express yourself a bit more or find a different side to you.
I think it was the same with James Ratty as well when he sort of came through his Cardiff and he sort of added a bit, he's a bit of a bit part lock at Ospreys, came to Cardiff, became a key cog, and now he's come back and he's now one of the key men because he sort of got thrown into the stage a bit more and probably had a lot more game time than he would have.
Yeah.
And with the fact that Daifan has basically said, look, I know you want to play 6, but 8 because we have no 8s. But it's not thrown him in the second row, which he hated. Which, was basically, Jockey only did it as an emergency because we're bare bones in second row.
Everyone hates second row. Everyone hates playing second row. Only idiots like playing second row. It's a stupid position. It's uncomfortable. It's just you don't get enough ball, and you've got to do all the hard work, and nobody says thank you or anything. It's a shit position to play. I hated playing second row. Well, yeah, I mean, you're just happy to be on the pitch. It's they could put you in. They could put you in at a hooker up against bloody I don't know, Derry Lake or someone, and you go yeah, just give me a game, you know.
Oh no, I draw my line at second row. Like, I don't go further forward. I don't go further back than 8.
Oh, I don't blame you.
I had one 70 minutes on the wing, and I never felt so terrified in my life.
Just don't give me the ball. Don't kick it near me.
No, I was just grateful the opposition 13 kept dropping it.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. So Dragons game, second, well, not even the second half, because I've got issues with the first try as well. In my opinion, the first try should have been reviewed, because that must have been close to a knock-on. I think if that missed catch, if you want to call it that, is any other team in any other stadium, bare minimum, it gets reviewed. For some people, it doesn't even. If that was a Dragons play and the Dragons were attacking, that would have been pulled back. So the fact it wasn't even reviewed, that first one, for me, kind of grates a little. And then you've got 2 calls in the second half that were massive calls, given where they were in the game and the effect they had on the game. They were huge calls, and I think they got both of them wrong. And a lot of people did. You know, a lot of the commentators, a lot of the stuff after the game, a lot of Leinster fans were kind of like, yeah, I just didn't see how that was down, you know. So, and I said this last night on the rewind. It's not the referee. The referee's got a view of the game. The whole purpose of the TMO is to come in with 7, 8, 9 cameras, whatever it is, find the best angle and give an absolutely conclusive and say the ball touched the ground there. And you couldn't see it. All you could see was the ball on an arm. And even with the second one, they called him back first of all because his knees were on the floor. He didn't release. And then he had second move. He didn't have momentum. He got picked up by another player and then thrown over the line. Well, that's not momentum. You know, that's not your momentum taking you forward. So when they reviewed that one, they then didn't go back and go, were his knees down? That was his original call. His original call was his knees were on the floor, he didn't release the ball, and he didn't get taken over by momentum. That's why he didn't review whether he'd got the ball over the line. When the touch judge then said, I think I was from 40 yards away, the touch judge can see the ball touching the floor, but the referee calls it back because it was shambolic, is what I thought it was. It just didn't sit well with all the technology that we've got, all the stuff that we could have done, to then have those 2 calls and not be able to evidence it conclusively, for me was wrong, and it kicked the Dragons in the nuts just at the wrong time. Was my call.
I think my issue with the TMO, and weirdly, I didn't have a problem with Mike Adamson whatsoever. It's just, I think this goes across the whole sport. Is just different TMOs work in different ways. There's no, like, ironic. I quite like Ben Whitehouse as a TMO. I actually don't think he's terrible. I think he's clear, effective. I think he's basically all the things he's not as a referee. All the problems I have with Ben Whitehouse as a referee, I actually think it goes really well for him as a TMO. And I think the TMO he had on the weekend for the Dragons was just, it just didn't seem like he was a good communicator. And, you know, it's just inconsistency across the sport. And we could sit here every week and say, well, actually, this TMO got this decision wrong, or it just so happens this was a bit of a howler, and they happen, you know. And unfortunately, we could sit here whinging about it and nothing's going to change because it's an incredibly difficult thing to change. The law they've got in now, where there has to be clear and conclusive evidence to overturn a decision, is the best we're going to get. And I think tampering with that puts the game in jeopardy more.
And I've not got a problem with that. I've got a problem with the quality of the TMOs.
This is the thing, but
yeah, either the camera angles need to improve, or there needs to be something in the ball that tells us, or do you know what I mean?
But you're getting into really deep stuff now, and just think where the TMO was. Like, do you remember when Derek Bevan was a TMO? Fuck me, that was, you talk about comedy of errors, mate. That was like watching like that one bloke at the bar after he, half time at the watching the seniors play. Everything's a knock on, everything's, there's no cohesion. I think there are steady improvements for the TMO, and it's tough when it happens to one of your teams in the manner of what happened, actually where it was as well. It's Leinster at the Aviva. It's not, no disrespect, it's not like Connacht at the Dexcom, or it's not, Zebra. It's the big dogs. Essentially, I know Twickenham is HQ, but literally Rugby HQ is not far from South Dublin. So look, I think Unlucky Dragons, it was your turn for TMO roulette this week. It'll be someone else next week.
So Harley, wrap up the Dragons game for us in total then.
Good defense for 60 minutes. Fitness dropped off. Attack is still an issue. Leinster gonna Leinster.
Okay. We shall move on. So we'll do the next two games in reverse order as we previewed them. So Ospreys and Stormers, James. Now I watched half of this game, and then I had to go and do Strictly things. I got ousted again on the.
Which half did you watch?
What's the first? Well, I watched from about 10 minutes in till about half time, and then about 10 minutes after half time. So I didn't really see a lot because I'll be honest, my daughter was doing Strictly Come Dancing stuff. So talk us through the game.
I think for me, the game of the weekend, just quality wise, really high intensity from the start. Two teams really wanting to go out and play, wanting to go out, and be physical. I think from an Ospreys point of view, everything that we had problems with last week was addressed. We were physical, we made more dominant tackles. We made I think we made the least dominant tackles last week. I think we were in double figures for dominant tackles. That the Tom Boter hit that's going around right now, where he just he gets into a perfect position, fucking melts. I think it's Hartzenberg or Zas. Jack Morgan was putting in hits. Dewi Lake running across the field and just chopping people. Boys were up for it. And then in attack, we just looked so much crisper than we've looked for a while. Owen Watkin, after what feels like 10 years, that inside step has finally worked. We didn't panic. We went however much down. There's no panic. There's play the system. The system works. We come out the second half. Justin Tipuric. We've got to talk about Justin Tipuric. Jesus, this man, like when you just think he can't do or can't impress you anymore, he puts that and pinpoint grubber in. He then, from the ensuing Stormers Maul, pushes them out, and then they go off and set up a scoring drive off that maul. In terms of a 4 or 5 minutes, you can't ask for better than that. That's what wins you games. That's what gets you over the line. And Toby Booth said some good teams learn quickly. So we knew. I said this last week. The good thing about the loss last week is we knew what the work-ons were. We were soft in defence. We gave away too many penalties, and we worked on that this week, and you saw it. And then what was most impressive, I think, Dan Edwards and Ruben aside, was that last defensive set. Stormers went through 20 phases, didn't give them anything. We're pushing them back. We get the penalty, go upfield, win another one. And then the confidence then you get from the crowd and whatnot to go. Jack Walsh puts it properly downfield, 50 metres downfield. And then for Dewi Lake, who's played 80 minutes at this point, hits double tops. And then, the picture perfect maul, and he's my best friend and yours, Mr. Penalty Try is back. Opened his tally for the season. But, in terms of a game, you couldn't ask for much more, really. Dan Edwards put in a clinic on. He put a full house on. He's only the third ever Osprey to do it. He was magnificent, banging a 45-meter drop goal, just like it was nothing. Ruben Morgan-Williams probably the best he's played. Really showed. Gatland, who admittedly was just sat in the hospitality box, didn't actually come out, but sort of put his hand up and said, "Look, I'm here." On a trying to sound diplomatic, on a mixed weekend for Welsh halfbacks, them two really shone, I think. So yeah, just buzzing. Great win. Couldn't ask for much more.
So, a question slightly aside from the rugby, but still about the rugby, yeah. Have they made a mistake going to St Helens? Given what's happening at Brewery Field, we know that there were plans years and years and years ago to redevelop Brewery Field and for them to move there, yeah, and then that kind of died a death. St Helens has been agreed and all of that kind of stuff. So, but is there a slight little bit in the back of your mind that goes, do you know what? We quite like playing at the Brewery Field?
I think we'd be having the same conversation if we were playing at St Helens weekly and we were planning on going to Brewery Field.
Is it just anywhere that isn't the Liberty?
No, Gavin on Dragon's Lair said this best, right? The reason Rodney Parade is such a horrible place to play is because of the atmosphere. It's because it's enclosed. You're close to the pitch. I'm trying to avoid using cliches like proper rugby grounds and things like this, right? It's not a corporate experience. So you can argue the Arms Park is like that. Kingsholm in Gloucester, maybe. The Stoop to an extent. These are grounds that you are in a Goldfish Bowl where the Swansea.com and the Parker Scarlets is more of a corporate experience. And that's what modern rugby is, right? Modern rugby needs to be a balance of both because you've got to make money. I think we've been very good at Bridgend. Personally, I really love the ground. Great memories there. It has a CF postcode. I'm just like to put that out there. That would never fly. But it just has the thing of, I think Bridgend understand this and they have a really good relationship with the club, is that it's on the outskirts of the region. We adopted them post Celtic Warriors. 7:30 on a Saturday. A lot of fans are traveling 20, 30 miles to get to the stadium because they're coming from Swansea, they're coming from Neath, they're coming from Talbot, some even out further west. So I love the Brewery Field, and you can argue it is a ready-made stadium or ready-made ground, I should say. But for the Ospreys, the right decision, I still think, is to go to St Helens. Just as a club.
Just picking up on James' point with obviously the Brewery Field. I mean, we're joking about it having a CF postcode, but it's a valid point. One thing people are saying is that the 4 Welsh clubs pro size are too close together as it is. Moving one an hour further towards another just seems like a really fucking stupid idea. Like if you're already fighting for I mean, it does. And also, I mean, to be fair, it'd be great for the Ospreys Scarlets derby because all the Scarlets fans would be that little bit closer to
Yeah,
them.
close to
You know,
Pontcanner.
because
Isn't it? So,
yeah, the Pontcanner massive.
We
But
were talking
it's
about this on on the rewind last night, where we compare it with South Africa, where you go, where you might play the Lions one week and you'll play the Bulls next week. Well, how far apart are they? And all of this kind of stuff, and change in height. And in Wales, from Parker Scarlets, you can probably drive to Rodney Parade inside an hour, probably
backing up.
door to door.
not on the M4 on
Yeah,
Swansea.
You get a couple
You
of
can.
tickets, I think.
Not on the M4 on Swansea.
I've
2 in the
gone
morning,
from
maybe.
I've gone from
It's about
Pont
an hour and a
Abram.
half, I think.
Well, if I can go from Pont Abram to Cardiff in about half an hour on a
You
good day,
cannot do that. I'm
you
sorry.
fucking can. Of course you
It's
can.
not. You can't. It's 45
Yeah.
minutes. The
Yeah.
junction by my
Anyway,
parents.
they're really close relatively. When you
But
take
yeah, in relative terms,
yeah, it's
they are along the
and
M4 corridor.
you do kind of think it's a shame. It's good that we've got that much quality all kind of rammed together, and you go like, well, what would happen
But
if we
you
actually
have
got
to
the rest of the
remember,
country involved?
is it 1/3 of the population live below like a certain line in Wales?
That's
It's
over
like
that, isn't it?
if you look in America and this is putting my degree to use now, if you look at America, the way they've basically the voting map, there are like 3 different dots, right, where it's Democrats, and everywhere else is like, or there's more than 3, but there's different dots essentially where there is Democrats, and then everywhere else is red. And everyone's like, well, why doesn't that mean that the Republicans win? It's like, because land can't vote. That's essentially what Wales is in terms of population and rugby. Most of it lives on one corridor of the M4, and the rest is literally just farmers and small communities. That's what it is.
The rest of Wales wouldn't function without a little old Pembrokeshire doing what it does. I think we supply about 25% of the UK's electricity and petrol.
But this is what I mean. Like,
Yeah,
Don't
but
go,
they
don't
can't
go
vote.
dissing
They
us
can't
down
play
the end of
rugby
the
either.
M4, mate.
no, but
That's not
what I mean
fair,
is
mate.
that along that corridor,
Yeah.
and then a bit more is
Does a little bit more.
is essentially the population
Mm.
of not only Wales but the rugby playing population. And this is not me. Please don't get angry at me. Insert club name here from Mid Wales, right? There are
RGC
yes RGC, but
had
yeah, yes, all
two
right. They
cracking wins at the
2
start of
cracking
the
wins,
SRS.
yes. But how many players have RGC produced over the years?
But I think, well, that's the kind of the point, isn't it? George North would have been, if I remember, at one point
Well,
there was
Scarlets did their
6.
job properly, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
They were
but
supposed to look after the North.
but what I'm saying is, like, if we go back to the original point,
Yeah.
Ospreys in Bridgend, yes, it's a good mix, and we have a really good relationship with the club, and the fact that we can go there this season on tap is great. Long term, is it the best thing for the club? No. You're alienating the majority of, yes, insert your joke about small fan base, but you're alienating the core of your fan base, which is Swansea, and all the issues that Neath are, with Neath and Neath fans and all this, right? You're risking that again, essentially.
So, how many more games this season have you got, Brewery Field?
1. So
Is it the New Year's
we
Day
have
one
got
again?
Edinburgh.
No, they're to us
Not doing
this
that.
year.
No, so yeah, because we've lost both our games. So we lost, obviously, Judgment Day is our home game in Cardiff. And so Edinburgh
Suck it.
in a couple of weeks is at Brewery Field, and obviously we moved the Boxing Day fixture to the 21st so that we could play in the Swansea.com stadium.
Can I just add one thing? As
Yeah.
much as I love and I get the history around Boxing Day fixtures, I do quite like the fact that the Ospreys have gone, no, we're going to play on a Friday.
I'm quite
That's the
gutted.
day before.
It's a
Which
Saturday.
It makes well, Saturday, but at least
Because I'm at a wedding.
you can do a regular week.
I was planning on being at the game, because I'm back for Christmas, and then I have to go back for my employer's big game at Twickenham. So I was planning on being at the game, but now they've moved
Now,
it.
is it a big game or is it the big game?
The big game. I'm at a wedding in Davati, which is like 4 minutes away from the stadium. So I will be in a state of fuming all day, even if we win, because I
Especially
will
if you
be
win.
so close to the stadium.
So I'm gonna pick a point with your game of the week after we've done
Do you say
Scarlets.
Sharks v Connacht or
No,
Zebra
no,
versus
no, 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 no.
Munster? I
I'm
don't
gonna say
care.
result of the week. So let's talk Scarlets Cardiff then, Harley, because first 20 minutes was absolutely belting. I thought this is it. This is how rugby's meant to be played from both sides. I thought we got lucky off the kickoff. Cam win it. Just you couldn't
Talk about
plan
gimmicks that completely backfire. Like, it was ridiculous. Just like,
I mean, I love the idea
I
of
had
what they
to
were trying to
rewind it because I
do.
missed it. I missed what on earth had happened because I was there like that because I was trying to get it. Basically, I was trying to use Premier Player. That decided to cock up.
Oh,
And oh, fuck it! I'll go on to iPlayer. Oh, they scored. What? And it took me 4 watches just to work out what on earth the fucking happened. It was ridiculous. It was mad.
It was a bit
I mean,
bizarre, wasn't it? It's you couldn't have planned it, put it that way.
I mean, they did. It just didn't
well, no,
work.
they didn't. They didn't plan what happened next.
No.
Yeah, and then just led sort of like 5-10 minutes of just Cardiff somehow forgetting that they're what they're supposed to be doing. It was really weird. And then they went, "Oh wait, we're a rugby team, right? Let's play rugby," and it took it from there. And it just went Cardiff. Sort of building on the performance against Zebra. I thought the defense tightened up a lot. One thing I've noticed is we're not really pushing for the tackle. We're not pushing for the jackal so much. We go with Josh McNally, and then now we're going a lot more for counter rucking, which actually worked quite well on quite a few occasions. As a former coach of mine once said, make every ruck a shit fight, and you're going to get a few turnovers, and he was the epitome of that. It was a fascinating game. I do agree with James, though. I do actually think the Ospreys game was game of the week. Now, especially because one thing we missed out is Dan Edwards getting a full house, which you don't often see in rugby. And for any listeners who aren't aware of that terminology, that's a try, conversion, drop goal, and penalty. Basically all 4 scores. Not the Thomas Lavanini, where you somehow managed to get a ban, a red card, a yellow card, and a few penalties.
That's a reverse full house.
That's a roundhouse to the face.
So where do you think Cardiff won it, mate? Because I got my opinions on where Scarlets lost it. You tell me where Cardiff won it.
So I mean, if you look at the stats, so if you look at the raw numbers stats, Scarlets made more carries, they made a few more line breaks. Yes, but actually, if you look at the distance we made in each carry, so Cardiff were 3 and a bit meters per carry. Scarlets only 2.6, which is not a huge amount of difference. Which meant when we went a bit further. The key thing is, when we capitalized, we had 4 chances, we capitalized on all 4. It's simple as that. We had 4 entries, got 4 tries. We're listed down as having 6 points per 22 entry, and that's because Callum Sheedy is on something like 3 out of 7 kicks, which is, I mean, I don't want to have a go at it because I think actually he's been playing really well in the way he managed the game.
Fucking shit.
Kicking at hands, been great. But kicking the goals, like just give the tee to Ben Thomas. Clearly, he's quite decent at this. Let's let him kick. Let him kick. You worry about everything else. But and then Scarlets only managed like 1 and a bit because they were just getting into their thing. And then as soon as they got to Cardiff's line, we were able to turn the ball over. Whether that was by forcing a knock on with, Kieran Azarati had some fantastic tackles where he's just he's hitting them. Scott's play so hard the ball fell out.
I think we had
standard turnover.
I think we had 4 entries into the 22 in the first half hour. So we had the same in the first half hour as you had in the whole game.
Yeah, and you got 2 tries and a penalty.
Yeah,
and to be honest, that was all gifted.
Yeah, it didn't really. The amount of times that we lost composure is what I think it was. There was energy, there was enthusiasm, there was a definite bite in defence that wasn't there before, but we lost the composure, and I think Cardiff just maintained it. Cardiff were, I think, probably having gone through it last season where maybe the composure left you in the last 10 minutes of the game, being in that position this year where you kind of go, actually, we're going to keep it together, once you've gone into the lead. And the try to go, the bounce over the top of the head was just, it was a killer. It was an absolute killer where it goes over the top of Johan Lloyd. And he's only a wee little diddy fella. Let's be fair. So it doesn't have to be a big bounce to come over the top of his head. But even if he leaves it go and kind of turns around and then hoofs it to touch or whatever, it's just sod's law that's what happens. That
it reminded me of was it Owen Lane's try against Ospreys at Cardiff Arms Park 2 seasons ago? It was Jack Walsh's at first ever start a fullback. It was like in the 3rd minute of the game or something like that. Evans puts a kick through right in the corner. He lets it bounce, and it just bounces up for Owen Lane to go and score. And that's exactly what it was like.
Mm. But I think after that we lost it. Yeah.
Was it Gatland's first season back and the game against Italy, and Reece Webb chips over, does a little chip kick and Rio Dyer scores in the corner. And basically the idea is you try that move 100 times and it'll come up. Cardiff tried that kick so often, and that sort of kicking strategy to put pressure that they're either going to smash the fullback, or if there's if there's a bounce, then they, chance to go for it. And I've seen that not work quite a lot. So, every now and again you are just going to have a lucky thing, and it is just that work rate of going through. I mean, if you look at them, so I think Dan Thomas is either Dan Thomas or Josh McNally again. I haven't had a chance to walk it back in detail. Was one of the first people in their chase. I'm pretty sure he was in the bottom of the ruck that the kick came off.
Mm.
Just that's one thing
that would have put him in front of the ball.
The work rate is somehow gone up.
Yeah, but that would have put him in front of the ball, Army. So
he was on. You can be made on side because you have also had Cam Winnett there, who would have put them on side.
Yeah, but then
I'm pretty sure some would have called them on. But the point is, the work rate's a lot better. As nice as the stat, things like as nice as the stats of Tame Plumtree, I did think he got bullied around a little bit. No, I think when he's up against the backs, he's fine pushing through. But you'd come up against someone like Josh McNally or Domachowski, and he'd just stop.
I think what they did is they double teamed him every time.
Yeah,
when you look on the video, but when you look on the video, he gets double teamed, pretty much every time. He doesn't have a one-on-one. He is hit, which from a defensive point of view, is identifying your issues and going, right, okay, we're stopping him and we're stopping him, and I think that's part of where the Scarlets didn't adapt, and when we started to adapt, we panicked. Instead of sticking to, okay, if it's not going to Plumtree, if there's 2 men on Plumtree, then there's somebody outside Plumtree that hasn't got anybody on, sort of a thing. So, and when we tried to, the last 20 minutes, where it just felt like pushing the panic button constantly. We were knocking balls on, we were giving passes that weren't there, I don't know, we looked like a sick form side that just ready to go to the pub. It just.
Can I talk about my 2 favourite teams now?
But Johnny, I think if we held it together in those last 10 minutes, or last 20 minutes really, then it might have been a bit different. But I think that's a learning. What I think the Scarlets do take from that game is that when we put it together, actually we can compete, but we've just got to compete with a bit more composure and a bit more consistently, which is what Cardiff are starting to do. Cardiff didn't finish games last year, and this year already, you've seen they've finished 2 games and are there or thereabouts at the top of the table, depending on which version of the table you look at. So it's I'll let you have the last say, and then I'll just because you won, and then I'll move on to the result of the week.
No.
I feel like I'm gonna save my. I'm gonna give way to our esteemed Ospreys
Go
colleague
on
here.
then. Yeah, you
Have his
haven't
2
had
pence.
a.
Put in my non-Ospreys hat on. I think
I'm a neutral. Go on, I'm a
no.
neutral.
I do think there's legitimate concerns about. It's been raised that Scarlets didn't score a point after.
Yeah, after
15
was it? It's
11
actually 12
minutes?
minutes. Yeah, 12 minutes.
I think they
Didn't
scored in
score
like the
after 12.
9th or the 10th minute, and obviously the 90 seconds the conversion in.
Mm.
That's unacceptable, and it's even worse at home.
Mm.
And it reminded me of the Black Lion game, not the performance, but that vibe of you just keep knocking, and there's nothing. You know that there's that. I didn't watch the game much. I was listening to it. Was it 5? You got that 5 meter scrum, did really well. You put Cam went it back over the line, like Plumtree Scraggs him back over the line, and you think, right, here we go. You've got some dynamite in that back line. You've got Max Page, you've got Tom Rogers, you've got Johan Lloyd. You thought, right, yeah, get it wide, put Cam Wynn in a 1v1, or something like that. Put him as, and then give it to Johnny Williams, and he carries it and he knocks it on. And you're like, if I was a Scarlets fan, and God forbid, I hope I never am, you would be pulling your hair out because you're like, yeah, come on, we've got the dynamite. You've seen the evidence of the back line being good, and you one threat carry, and then it goes to Johnny Williams and he knocks it on. I think your centres defensively had a bit of a nightmare on Saturday.
Shocking.
Johnny Williams was put in a blender multiple times. Max Page, they kept bringing Grady off the wing into Max Page, and it just looked like me running into my like 8-year-old cousin. That's what it looked like, and I'm not trying to brag on them. I'm just calling out if the legitimate concerns I see. I get the stats that you had more 22 entries, you had more possession, you had all this, right? But it means fuck all if it's not being converted into points.
No, I agree, and I've said this a couple of times about Max Page, and nobody believes me. And he's a young
because
kid.
He's rugby Jesus, Lee.
No, he's a young kid. I've watched him play since he was 10 years old. Yeah, and after the second time I watched him play, so he would play against us, and then I coached a couple of sides that he was in, and what have you. After the second game, I knew how to stop him from running, and I knew that he wouldn't defend on certain plays. And then you just exploit that, and you go, "Thank you very much, you win the game." Yeah, it doesn't take much to work him out. Don't get me wrong; he's improved while he's been at the Scarlets, but I still see him trying to tackle Mason Grady on Saturday the way he used to tackle when he was an under 13. And that just is, and this is what I said last week. You've got to give the guy a chance to develop and improve. Stop the bollocks about he's rugby Jesus. Yeah, the Wales Online. Yeah, no, Wales Online need to go and shove it up their ass for a season. Yeah, give the guy a chance to learn, because he does need to learn. And I still maintain that his best position is fullback. Yeah, and that sounds a bit weird because his defense isn't great, but when you put him in a defensive line, that's where his issue is. He can't defend within a line. When you put him in a one-on-one at fullback, his tackling suddenly goes up a notch. His tackling is actually really, really strong. So you've got to know where the players' strengths are and when those strengths are there. And I don't think we're using him in the position, given the fact that we haven't actually got a nailed on 15 at the minute. Johan Lloyd isn't really a 10, isn't really a 15. He's a utility player. We don't have an out-and-out 15. Tom Rogers, it doesn't cut it for me. And Nicholas is better at 13 for me than he is at 15. For me, I've seen Max Page play at 15 quite a lot, and that's his best position. And at some point, he'll get put there because we haven't got anybody else. Let's put him there, and everyone will go, "Well, why haven't we been doing this for the last couple of seasons?" Because he is quick. He'll hit a line. He's a strong runner, so you can bring him in tight. And defensively, he's actually okay. I don't know what he's like under a high ball. I haven't seen him put under pressure under a high ball, but
I mean,
that's
at
all.
5'9", you know,
Yeah, but Cam Winnett isn't exactly a giant. Do you know what I mean? And he's
No.
quite solid under a high ball.
But he is springy.
Yeah,
He does
and-
have
and-
sneaky legs.
What I'm
Lanky.
saying is for me, yeah, when you've got Ray Lilo and Mason Grady running at you, you want somebody there that you can rely on. And yeah, he's got another 2 seasons before he's in that position where he can stand up to people like that and go, okay.
The last thing for me on Scarlet, well, 2 things really, is without Archie, worry in depth at scrum half. Because Cowdor picked the wrong game to have his shocker. He looked disinterested. From my eyes, after that 20 minutes, his head went. And you look to the bench and you have Evan Jones, who, look, I'm sure is a lovely lad and perfectly capable player, but when he's not firing in and you're having Costello having a mixed game, your halfbacks compared to Sheedy and Davis, or Davis and Sheedy, it just felt like there was no control or a distinct lack of control. And then, it's hard to come back from that. And this is, from someone who's had Aled Davis, who's, it makes the decision to let Kieran Hardy go. And this is more from Scarlets fans than I've seen from anyone else, look a bit mad. Because as soon as Archie got injured, you're like, oh, well, normally we now bring on Kieran Hardy.
But that's the squad position everybody's in. If you've got too many superstars, and that's his contract was up.
Yeah, no, I fully understand the
it's
semantics of it, but you just look at it like, as soon as one of your scrum halves gets injured, that's Cowdor and Archie Hughes, you're like, ooh, this is not great.
Harley, you were about to burst.
And then sorry, Harley, go on.
I just want to say it does seem to go with my theory that if a player's having a Welsh player's having a milestone game, they will have a shocker, because it seems to happen every time, whether it's for Wales or the region. If it's a milestone game, it will be fucking piss poor.
Ruben Walker-Williams had his 100th game and got man of the match.
Yeah, but he's also from a working class area and has a double-barreled name. He shouldn't. He's not possible. He should be in a
worst thing is,
he's not
for Quins.
I know Ruben through a very good friend of mine. He is the most Neath man you'll ever meet as well. This
is what Yeston has told me, because he was in school with Ruben. And
yeah, Ruben's the same age as me.
And I believe Harry D should spell his name with a Y, because any Harry with an I went to private school, and that is the least Harry Deebs possible.
I would like to shatter your working class dreams. Harry Deebs is a double-barreled second name.
It's even worse. Like, what is this man doing?
I would just like to point
can't smash the bourgeoisie if he is the bourgeoisie.
Ruben is he is proper Neath boy. Don't let the double-barreled name fool you. But he does smash your theory right up. Because he had a stormer.
Let's
maybe it's just players who are eligible for Wales internationals. Then I don't know.
Robin Sowden Taylor never really caught on, did it?
No.
Right, let's move on swiftly and break with tradition to briefly discuss the result of the weekend, which was Zebra against Munster, which for the side that came last season, and pretty much everyone predicted that they would be in the same place this season, to take on and defeat. I think Munster came top of the league last year. I think they were either first or second, but to turn them over in the way that they did was just for the game of rugby, for the URC, for annoyingly, Leinster fans will love it, but for me, it just really makes the heart sing. The fact that a side that everyone writes off can turn over, a side that competes at the very top of Europe.
We talking about the Scarlets now?
No.
it's one of those games that just kind of I did watch bits of it. I did have it on the player, but the iPlayer is I've worked out what to do with the Premier player though. Don't put it on full screen. Yeah, avoid it if you can, but don't put it on full screen. Just take the small screen and pinch it out. If you take the small screen and pinch it out, it works a shitload better than trying to make it full screen. My tip for
I've
the
started
day.
using the Fire Stick app on an
Is it any
actually
better?
legitimate Fire Stick, unlike some people allegedly.
I think that Zebra, again, great win. Munster were crap. Zebra were great value. I'd like to see them going back it up now. I'd love to see them
100%. You've
go
got
and
another home
go
game
and
now
do that.
against
Again,
Stormers, isn't it?
It's week 2, right? Let's not push narratives just yet, and that's why I'm not being overly harsh on the Scarlets.
Can I pick up one thing I did notice? It was in the car from both games. They're surprising so many people that the pops of the inside man in the pod. That's been causing so much fucking havoc. Like I imagine that's going to get sorted
because it's a nightmare to defend. Because naturally you're on a drift, right? That close to the ruck because you're following. Because teams now play so wide off 9, right? So automatically your inside 2 or 3 men, depending on how your spacings are, will go on essentially like a lazy drift. So you have Munster run it. Actually, ironically, Munster and Ireland are the ones who run it really well. You have someone hitting a hard inside line. It's a game breaker, So it's no surprise. I said this after the Cardiff game. Their meters after contact were ridiculously good. Like they are, their leg drive pound for pound probably the strongest in the league. I think that when you've got genuine gas out wide, you've got essentially they're an academy team with some internationals, and you've got like Sapani to come back in. That is Pani back yet?
No.
So you've got Lorenzo Pani in there, Gacy. You've got game breakers to come back in, and you've got good squad. I'm not saying I don't want to say good squad players, but you've got squad players. But ultimately, they're all Italian, right? They're all Italian qualified with 1 or 2 imports, I think, isn't it?
I think they're no imports.
4 imports.
Four Argentinians they've got.
So yeah, but who will I'm imagining will be Italian qualified or project players. Because there's 2 former Ospreys in that squad. Guido Volpi, Argentinian, and then also Ben Cambriani, who's obviously Italian qualified with a name like that. But great win for them. I feel sorry for the team who has to go to Munster next.
Well, that does kind of bring us on to what's happening next week. But before we do that, just very quickly, if you are enjoying what you're hearing and what you are seeing, please do give us a like and a rating and a review on social media. Better still, give us a little subscribe on YouTube, because that's going particularly well at the minute, and everyone's loving us on there. I don't think that the cameras can be working very well because our YouTube is going through the roof, and I wouldn't want to stare at my face twice a week. It just wouldn't work. So just to mention as well. Well, yes, I was going to say, kicking off. It kicked off last week, didn't it? WXV Friday. Was it Friday? It kicked off, Ali?
Yeah, the tournament itself kicked up on Friday, which very helpfully kick-off time for the Friday game is 3:00 in the afternoon, which really convenient if you work.
My point was going to be, however, that our women's pod is up and running with yourself and Hugh, and I actually listened to the pod, and I have to be honest, really, really enjoyed it. If nobody has listened to women talk about women's rugby before, I'm not saying about that you, but Harley. So go and listen to our women's rugby podcast. It is really, really good. And yeah, sometimes they put us to shame, but a lot of time because the level of knowledge is superb.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
Let's be fair,
Julia,
that's
especially
not
Julia
hard.
and Sean are unbelievable. But I think as well with Julia, she's actually been over here to play in various iterations of the women's premiership, so she has quite an intimate knowledge of the inner workings and stuff. So has a few friends in there. Yeah, seriously, you don't listen to it for me and Hugh. We're just sort of there because we were just the guys who invited them on, so we could have women talking. Sean and Julia steal the show. Genuinely, we just sort of give them feeder questions and let them cook. It's genuinely
I
pleasure
was
being on.
I was listening to it, right, because I was going, okay, well, we've got the new pod going. I'll do a couple of clips for social media and this, that, and the other. So I got myself a sheet of paper. I was just going to write, okay, times and, rough kind of areas so I could clip them out. And I got about 35, 40 minutes in and I realized that I hadn't written anything down because I was just kind of staring at the screen and listening. I go, oh, shit, I got to go back to the start now and actually write stuff down and all of that kind of stuff. It was really, really good. So, yeah, do give that a listen. And if you're the other way inclined and you like the semi-pro end of the game in Wales, the SRC podcast is also up and running, and that is also doing very well, particularly with wins for like RGC, Llandovery just not being able to string anything together. I will give a shout out to Evan Sheldon, who played for Llandovery last weekend, that I used to coach. Well done, Ed. So yeah, always worth a listen. And then finally on our feeder
One
pod,
thing I want to plug on SRC because I'm not sure if they have mentioned it, but we're going to have our first attempt at the Ranfurly Shield from Wish. That is the Challenger Series with Llandovery. So it's basically a lineal championship, winner stays on type thing. So you defend your title at home. So it started off. So this is Drover's first home games, the first challenge. I think it's against Carmarthen Quins. It might.
No, it's a second home game. They played home game first game of the season.
No, they were 2 away games.
They played at Pontypool. That's a. They played against Pontypool.
Yeah, I was pretty sure it was at Pooler Park.
Pooler Park.
I might be wrong, but either way, they're building up as this is a Challenger Shield thing, so that's actually one to keep an eye on. And I believe, I'm not sure what Thursday night game. I did have it written down.
Martin will be going nuts. But Big M will be going.
That's his baby. He should be telling everyone else this.
So
yeah, I'm actually enjoying the bits of SRC I've been watching lately.
Yeah,
it's nice having Thursday night rugby after training, or when
unless it was on Friday, we could only watch 48 minutes of it.
Anyway, last bit of information from our feeder pod is Saucepans and Sidestep do have a player interview lined up for this week. Not going to say who, just in case it all goes tits up. But fingers crossed, touch wood, they will be releasing a player interview later this week, which would be really nice. And
we might too. We haven't had any confirmation yet. Ours is like, it gets dropped in my inbox on a Wednesday and I have to scramble to create some questions. So we might do. But other than that, it will be business as usual at Shambles Central. Not Shambles Central, that's Cardiff.
I was going to say, don't you go say, don't you go trying to say what we're doing.
Right, let's move on to this week's games. So round 3 games. First game is Scarlets Connaught. So I said I was going to do the TV, didn't I? So this is on BBC, isn't it? Somebody remind me. This one's BBC and the other two.
This will be the BBC 2 Wales, so that's Scumfly Friday night slot.
Yep.
Gareth Selwyn, your Lauren Jenkins, your Alex Cuthberts.
Yes, those ones. So Friday night Scarlets Connaught. I don't care how we win. We want to play exciting rugby. We want to play interesting rugby. We've got to start a winning habit to do that. You could see it in the confidence that wasn't there in those last 20 minutes. After a couple of wins, that confidence starts to come. So yeah, I'm loving the fact that we still want to pass the ball. I'm still loving the fact that we want to do creative stuff, and we are a step up from where we were last year. But you're in week 3 now. You've got a draw, a loss at home. This has got to be a win. Otherwise, it starts a slippery slope. So I don't care how good Connacht were last year. I don't care that they've got their good players back. Gnarl it down, bring it down, mix the game up. Don't let them get any rhythm. Mess them up and put them on the back foot from the start. And I don't care how we do it 3-0 with a kick on 79 minutes. I don't care. It's just got to be a win. And I don't care if the players come off the pitch and everyone's going, oh, well, that was an awful game. That was a god awful game. I don't care if we've got more points than they have. For this one game, it doesn't matter. The league is so competitive this year that we've seen with Zebra and Munster. Anybody can beat anybody. You've got to take that and put that in your back pocket and go, okay, we're going to go and we're going to deliver something this week. So for me, yes, sexy rugby is important, but we have to build to that. And I don't want to get to a situation where you're going into European Cup or even for the Autumn Nations break and only, scraping one win and one draw or whatever. We've got to, once we start building momentum, we're great. We're fantastic. But we have to build that momentum and we have to be realistic. So for me, Max Page comes out for this game and we put Eddie James and Johnny Williams in because you have to have big grunt. And I'm not sure if Costello is still recovered from his illness. So maybe he's not in as well. But it's got to be big, it's got to be grunty, and it's just got to be a win. Don't care. I really don't care this weekend. It's just got to be a win. Would anybody like to disagree with that?
Fuck yeah. I hope you get smashed. Come on, Viva Connacht. No, I think it'll be tough test. Interesting to see who Connacht send over. And are Connacht in a position to send the Shags over? I don't think so. So I think they'll go quite strong. I actually think Connacht. I've watched bits of their game against the Sharks. They're definitely beatable from a Scarlets point of view. Like the Sharks didn't really have to work for their tries. But equally, Connacht are very adept at just staying in games, keeping the scoreboard ticking over. And I think they'll just have a bit too much. I think Scarlets are in a really tough mental hole right now. I think that Cardiff game will have taken them a lot out of them emotionally rather than physically. I think emotionally that's a tough loss to take. And on a 6-day turnaround, is it 6-day or 7? 6-day turnaround.
6.
Tough fixture to have. You probably don't, a team like Connacht who are perceived to be the weakest of the 4, but often I watched them at Cardiff last year, proper nuggety team who, I think just after like an emotional loss like that Cardiff one was, it's a tough ask for me. Tough ask.
Harley, any thoughts?
No, not really. I'll be honest. I'm more focused on the other Friday night game.
Well, they were on at the same time, weren't they?
Connacht went, went down. It's one of the stories of the URC. It's like a lot of teams coming back and winning. That was quite impressive. Like in the past, we've seen Connacht roll over in places like that, in situations like that. And I think they can be quite buoyed. I think they are. I mean, I don't think they're at full strength. I don't know if
no Bundy yet.
Beelam and Bundy are back.
Beelam is. I think Beelam is.
Yeah, which is going to be a huge thing on theirs. I think they are. So obviously they've brought Joshua Arnie in, who's a bit, it's a very good open field run. A bit reminds me, a bit like a humanoid really, but I'd argue a bit better. And they end up having to bring Carl forward and to basically try and get something to control the game. I think they're really missing JJ Hanrahan at this moment. He was out injured for a long time. I think Jack Carty's still out for a bit as well. So I think you can get, you might be able to get at them by out game managing them. They are prone to doing stupid shit, which is why Cardiff, even despite being having a red card against them at Cap last season, were well within it for most of that game. So it's definitely a game Scarlets can win and should be targeting. Whether or not they will win, I don't know, but certainly,
very different conversation.
I wouldn't think of it as an upset if they did.
Very different conversation if Scarlets had won on the weekend. You'd be like, perfect game to have a 6-day turnaround, Connacht at home with momentum. But I think I just think the emotional factor of losing that derby in the manner in which you did it can take a lot out of you as a player. I think.
I think especially because you said with a lot of those things, there were some things. Yes, there were things Scarlets did wrong, but also a lot of it was just, like Mason, like the Mason Grady try. He sort of bust through. Yes, maybe they could have done a few more. That there might have been a few better attempts to tackle, but at the same time, you just look around your team and you go, I have no idea how we stop that, and that can sort of impact on you. And should we get into the actual thing I actually am interested in this bit now? The one bit I'm interested in is what are your predictions?
I will do predictions at the end, mate. Do predictions.
I don't like that. I like doing it as we go through.
Well, tough shit, because it's on my list to do at the end. Right, Cardiff and Glasgow. So, are these two games on at the same time, Harley?
Yes,
they are both. So this is why.
As there is a Friday, there's two Friday games every week. There is always two Friday games. This has been, I think, 3 years now. Home Welsh sides.
Suck
it up, Buttercup.
Paul.
Hey.
Anyway,
do you know what? Right, if you want to watch the premium sport, premium sporting event, you got to dip your hand in your pocket. Sorry. I'd watch this be like a 40-point drubbing now. That would be your dream, wouldn't it? As if both Connacht and Glasgow won by 40 points each.
Mate, I'd be so happy.
Watch us both have convincing wins, and Ospreys just basically get made to look like Kidwelly under 12.
Shit their pants.
Kidwelly, Scarlets region.
I've got Cardiff Glasgow as my game of the week because I think this will be one of the most competitive games out there because Glasgow. All right, Glasgow haven't fired on all cylinders yet. They had a convincing win last weekend, but it wasn't amazing. Whereas Cardiff have pretty much stuck to their guns and done well. And Cardiff haven't fired on all cylinders either, but you just get the feeling that both teams could, if you know what I mean. There's a lot of this could be an amazing team about both of them. I
think it quite helps because Glasgow. The way they play is quite unique, and it usually goes against a lot of rugby logic. They are they're a big forward heavy team who throw the ball around a lot, and they don't kick too much, which again goes against a lot of the things. Which it's great again, because it stops the other team counter attack. And like one thing that does quite buoyed by is Cardiff Glasgow at Cap has always been quite a close game, and it's usually been you score 4 tries, we score 5, and I think. Maybe that that gives us a much better chance at it. The other thing as well is we won the we're the only teams last season to deny Glasgow a try bonus point in Glasgow, and we were well within that game the whole time. Not many teams even took a point away from Scots, and we did. So I'm hoping that building on that, and I'm going to predict a Cardiff win because I'm going to be ultra positive. I'm going to try and pick Cardiff every week now because we are the best, and I am fully bedded in at Jockey Stable, which I'm only mentioning just because I know how much it annoys James, and I love it every time I see him complain about it.
And honestly, I'd rather.
I love how much it annoys you, so I'm going to keep using it.
It's the fact that Cardiff keep tweeting it. Like, I think on a serious note for me. this is Cardiff's real litmus test now. This will
Yeah,
see where
absolutely.
Cardiff are, because let's not beat around the bush. They've played two poor teams. Yes, Zebra beat Munster. Yeah, but that wasn't Zebra last week. Zebra, when they came to Cap, that first half, like, anyone could have beaten Zebra, right? Cardiff did well to cling on that second half, yes, but then they've gone and played Scarlets, who, with all due respect, are not the best team. Yes, they won away from home, which is great, but this is now the real test of where this Cardiff team are at. This,
Absolutely.
we'll see that, Glasgow will be, they want to come down and put a marker down. This is our title. We're defending this. So I fully expect this game to be like 25-23 to either side. Hammer and tong. Yeah.
So when you were saying about jockeys and all that, why has someone in the Cardiff kind of marketing team not come out with Cardiff silks? So you can all dress as little jockeys with your Cardiff silks and your little jockey hats and all of that kind of stuff. That's got to be done, man. Your little blue and black stripes.
Thank God you don't work in marketing. All our clubs would have gone under by now.
Yeah, that's got to
far,
be
mate.
done. Yeah, little jockeys.
Just because I know, like, all the ex-Scarlets players are all dibs in on racehorses now and again.
They are. They're more interested in that than playing rugby. Dragon Sharks. So, go on, James. You can lead on this one. Dragon Sharks.
Winnable. First off, I think for Dragons, have to target home game. I think obviously you won, not necessarily convincingly, but you won at home. You battled back. You showed the mental toughness that it did to come back against the Ospreys. And then it sounds disingenuous, but you go to the Leinster and not get smashed or not get embarrassed. Let's
certainly both. The first half.
I don't even think they got embarrassed in the second half. I think they just got, as Harley said, Leinstered. Let's not forget Scarlets took 50 out there last year. We took 60. It happens, right? It's not a thing. So Dragons are going to take plenty. They've got quality to come back in. Expect to see Basham come in this week. Leon Brown to come back in. Look at maybe Steve Cummins to come back in. You'll have a Nyron Owen starting. Are you looking at a Kai Evans coming back in, and maybe an Angus O'Brien to come back? So that this is not like the Sharks where you got your Andre Esterhazens, the Chatukas, these proper Springbok quality players. But if they can replicate the emotions of that Ospreys game and summon what it took to win that and spread that over 80 minutes, I think they can win this. I do think that there is a winning team in there.
And also, I think that's
I do think the Sharks struggle with halfbacks and, again, game control, which I think Dragons can outthink. They're not going to have their full box. I think they did a pretty decent job against a fairly strong Shark side in the Challenge Cup last season at Rodney Parade. I think should be it's definitely something they should be targeting a win. And I think it's eminently possible. I know the whole second game of the SA Tour is a little bit better. But also, I think Dragons can take an awful lot from that Leinster game. That last 20 minutes aside, it's this is one that I think Dragons fans will be disappointed. They're not. If at 80 minutes they were never in it, I think they can be very disappointed. If, say, there's a last minute, I don't know, fluke try or penalty and they lose, I think you can say fair enough. But I personally think Dragons can win this. But then, bear in mind, I put Sharks at 15th this season, so I've got to back that decision. And when I saw they were 27 odd up at Connor, I was shitting myself thinking, well, aren't I going to look like a dick?
But I think the thing is now is that when you say Dragons could Dragons could overturn the Sharks. It's not a ridiculous statement to make, and fair play to the Dragons for the improvements that they've made, where, yeah, they're competitive now, and I think it comes down to the belief, very similar to the Scarlets, it comes down to the belief in yourself that you can do this. You can go out there and you can compete. And yeah, I reckon they've got it as well. But I just want to see them do something in attack. I think they've focused so hard on defense, and you can see their defense has improved. You even saw that against Leinster, but the first step tackling is there, the driving after the contact is there, the structure of the defense has improved. It ain't perfect, but it's much better than where it was. It lasts. Whereas last year it maybe went first and second phase, it's now to third and fourth, maybe fifth phase. So, Dragons have got to treat this the same way that the Scarlets treat Connacht. This is a must win. Treat it as a must win, and it doesn't matter how you get there. Just win and just come back in with a W, and you'll be fine. The rest of the season will look after itself, and that's what I want to see. That's what I want to see from the Dragons. Bring it down, make it dirty. Don't let the Sharks have any ball that they can do anything with at all, and just get in their face and just let them know that this isn't a nice place to be. Nobody likes coming here, and this is why. And send them home. Last game of the weekend, then, Ospreys travel to Munster. Probably the worst time ever to go to Munster. They've got all of the Irish internationals back this weekend, and they've just had a spanking to the lowest side in the league. You would have thought that somebody had stood up in Parliament and gone, right, we're gonna turn the earth around the other way. We're going to spin it differently on its axis. There's a lot going on in Munster at the minute. Is it a good time or a bad time to play them, James?
Interesting time to play them, certainly.
Well, that's neither here nor there. Is it a good time or a bad time?
Well, no, actually, we had a thing about this in our Hush Hush Ospreys group chat that Lee's not in, where we slagged the Scarlets off openly. No, we said, actually, Ryle Nugent, the commentator, said on comms early in that Zebra match that these next 3 games are easy for Munster, so something like that. And then they go and lose that game. So you say their island internationals back, will they play them is another thing. This game will go one of 2 ways, because Ospreys are going to rotate, because we've got the toughest block, really. So, players are going to be rotated. So you expect to see like Harry Deebs come in at starting, Ben Warren starting, and you look at Steph Thomas maybe. So you're not seeing the squad that went out against Stormers will start against Munster. That just won't happen, because we have to rotate. So we could take 50, or this is going to be like the quarterfinal where we make it really hard for them. But again, it's going to take something emotionally out of us to go out there and get a result. We absolutely can. I have no issue with the belief in the squad. Actually, it takes the pressure off us, really. I think it takes the pressure off us going into this game, because it becomes a must-win for Munster now. Because they've got to go out and win this, because they just took 40 at Zebra. They came away with nothing. Or what is it? A bonus point, sorry. Not even a bonus point. They came away.
They got the try bonus. They got
They got the 1 point. But yeah, pressure's on Munster now. So they can go full noise, and we go put the Shags out. Yeah, they're expected to put 50 on us. So I look, it's a free hit for us. I want us to go out and come back with something, whether it be 2 bonus points, a bonus point. I don't think we'll win. because of the nature of where it is with the time we're playing them, the situation that Munster find themselves in. Very rare do you see a Munster team that bad 2 weeks in a row.
Well, the bit that makes it worse for you is the game after you. So Munster play Leinster the week after. 60,000 sold out already.
65,000.
Is it 65, is it? You know.
They're brilliant.
So,
Like, this is what I mean. Like, are they going to rest? You know, do they bring a Pom back in? He gets injured against Ospreys. You know, this is the dilemma they face themselves, right? I know they've got a crisis at 10 with 2 10s being out injured. So they've got Tony Butler in there. This game can go one of two ways.
Already the way the season is panning out, you know, you can totally see you guys turning over Munster.
Maybe I'm just more like, how is rotation going to affect us? And basically, you know, Munster are hurting. It's a wounded animal in a corner now. You're talking about like nobody puts Munster in the corner.
More important than that, Tad Burns pissed off about it. He's already said that he's pissed off. So
he was pissed off for 4 years. He lived in West Wales, mate. He can't get any more pissed off than that.
We made that man. Go on, Harley.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because obviously looking at this game, so after that, Ospreys have a host of the Bulls, which again is going to be a game they're going to, because they have beaten Bulls at the Liberty before.
We haven't beaten the Bulls.
Have you?
There's only 2 teams we haven't beaten in the Irk era, and that's Leinster and Bulls.
Okay. Well, you know, another reason why we're slightly better than you, because we beat half of those.
Yeah, and us.
Yeah, that's the 3 I'd lump together: Scarlets, Bulls, and Leinster. Yeah, 4. That's 3 powerhouses there.
So let's.
So just go on my point.
Go on.
One thing I think Ospreys are a perfect team to piss off Munster is because Munster pride themselves on being a good set piece team, and Ospreys are probably one of the best teams at fucking up your set piece.
Yeah.
Especially like, I know. All right, maybe not. You're not going to have Tipperick and Adam Beard there, but I bet you Adam Beard's telling them all the different cues and saying, "Right, if you see this, then you know it's going to be a 2-jumper, and just get up in the air and just be an absolute fucking nuisance." I said I don't think it's going to be. I really don't think it's going to be a drubbing. I do think Munster are going to win, but I think Ospreys are going to keep it respectable, keep it close. One thing as well is Munster have conceded 11 tries in 2 games.
Yeah, but the majority of them were against Zebra. So
yeah, 6 of them against Zebra.
6 were Zebra and 5 were Connacht. So I mean,
yeah, you know.
Let's be fair. The only reason Munster Connacht wasn't a draw is because the Connacht kicker missed one. You know, it was one of those. Really narrow things.
Yeah. Right. Speaking of scores, so what we'll do with Jamie, because Jamie's not here and Jamie didn't fill in his predictions. What we'll do is we'll put it out on socials tomorrow, and then we'll find a way of averaging everything that everybody sends in. So if you really want to screw up Jamie on predictions, by all means, have a look on our socials tomorrow, and we'll put out Jamie's predictions on Twitter and on Facebook, and you can predict for Jamie. So, do you want to do the predictions, Harley? Have you got your wee little sheet that no one can understand?
I've even put a little friendly thing for the listeners. What Lee was confused about is to make it so that the spreadsheet does everything for you. You don't have to think about points difference, whatever, who gets what points, whatever. I've set up so all you have to do is, if you predict the home team to win by a margin, you put a positive number. If it's the away team, it's a negative number, and the spreadsheet magically works everything else. And Lee couldn't understand that, so I've had to put him a very little delicate thing because he is a precious flower.
What I should have done is I should have prepped it before. I shouldn't have opened it in the middle of the pod and then gone, okay, yeah, I'll fill it in now. And then look at it and go, this looks nothing like what we did last season, Harley.
And also, I then have to send him the screenshot where we discussed when I was setting up the spreadsheet and the full conversation. Oh, I've done this, and
eons ago, man. That was like 6 weeks ago. That was anyway. Let's do predictions.
It was the first week of September.
Right, you go. Let's do predictions.
So just to sort of say, so where we are in the league at the moment is I'm in first on 18 with 18 points, no surprise there. Then it's Lee on 17, Jamie on 14, and James on 11. Because he keeps betting against Cardiff.
It's the worst thing is, right? I put Scarlets by 5, and then I listened to Saucepans and Sidesteps. I went, I hope Cardiff batter these bastards, and they bloody did. Like, I should listen to myself. I should back myself more.
So,
anyway,
predictions, Harley.
So I'll go. So just going through mine. So I've gone for Connacht to win by 3, Cardiff by 2, Dragons by 3, and Munster by 11. Despite me saying I think it's going to be close.
James, your thoughts on scores this week? So Scarlets, Connacht.
Connacht's by 8.
Cardiff, Glasgow.
Glasgow by 4.
He's done it again, Harley. He's not learning, is he? He's just not learning, is he? Dragon Sharks.
He'll be welcomed in the stable one day.
With his blue
Dragon Sharks. I'll go Dragons by 2.
Dragons by 2. And Munster Ospreys.
Ospreys by 3. Let's be bold.
Okay, so I'm
in last. I can't do any worse.
I'm going to go Scarlets by 5, Cardiff by 2, Dragons by 7, and then I can't see Ospreys beating Munster. No, I'm going to go Munster by 10.
Bastard, I only said Connacht by 8.
Oh, and
he's done that just to undercut me in case it's anywhere close. He knows there's only one point in it. It's this.
That's what I used to do last season.
I love how you think my existence is only to piss you off, and you are absolutely correct.
But when we were doing it last year, and I was filming it in as we were, so I would always go last, and then I'd always go either one less than Jamie or one more than Jamie, just so I can. And then Harley went and what? Halfway through the season, I had to change tack and go, right, okay, I'm going to go get Harley, and it didn't work. I still came last. But
do you want an update on the Super Brew?
Go on then.
So no one's managed to get all the games correct. The best 2 are Nick Matea from the US, who's an Ospreys fan, who's in first place. I've got I'm in 5th. I got 11 of the games right, but other people have gotten closer margins, so they're up ahead of the table. I don't care about them. But Nick is my nemesis now. The only true competition I have in this prediction game.
Where am I in that league?
13th out of 19.
Ah, shit. Disappointing.
Very on brand for the Scarlets fan.
I'm going to have to start taking this stuff seriously one of these days. Right.
So the league is still open if you want to try and widen that gap to move even further down the table.
It's not difficult. It's one of those things where you get to Saturday morning and I'm sat in Tesco's car park and I'm like, crap, I haven't filled in my predictions and stuff like that. I did it early last week. I did it Wednesday last week. So I was very good. But it's quite often I'll be sitting there and Friday night, they'll just be starting and I'll go, oh shit, I haven't done my predictions. And then I'll get it in them. So, right. On that note, gents, I think we're done for this week. We are week 3 of URC coming up. And first 2 weeks have been absolutely belting. Absolutely fantastic. Week 3 is going to be amazing as well. Right. I shall bid you farewell. Hopefully Jamie will be back with us next week. So on that note, gents, enjoy your rugby and I shall see you next week. All the best. That was WRRAP, the Welsh Regional Rugby Appreciation Podcast. Please rate, review and share us on socials if you can, and join us again next week for more of the same. And until then, enjoy your rugby.
podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.